Hello students, now I am going to complete our last lesson, a bond of love, the bond of love. So open the page number 116, starting from the paragraph 13. Then my son and I advised my wife and friends advised her to give Baba to the zoo at Mysore. He was getting too big to keep at home. After some weeks of such advice, she has last consented. Hastily, and before she could change her mind, a letter was written to the curator of the zoo. Did he want a tame bear for his collection? He replied, yes. The zoo sent a cage from Mysore in a lorry, a distance of 87 miles, and Baba was packed off. So now, by the time the Bruno is getting young, and so his size also, so that the writer and his friends, his children also gave the advice to his wife that we should put the Bruno into the zoo. So that his wife wrote a letter to the zoo master. She was asking him that is there any place for the bear? You need any collection of a bear? So the response was yes, and that the zoo master sent a lorry with the cage, and now Bruno or Baba is packed off. We all missed him greatly, but in a sense we were relieved. My wife was inconsolable. She wept and fretted. For the first few days she would not eat a thing. Then she wrote a number of letters to the curator. How was Baba? Back came the replies, well, but fretting. He refused food too. So now all the family members were missing the Bruno, the Baba, but his wife was missing him a lot, so that she was even not eating the food also. So she wrote a letter asking about the Baba, but the response came the same thing, that he is refusing to eat. After that, friends visiting Mysore were begged to make a point of going to the zoo and seeing how Baba was getting along. They reported that he was well but looked very thin and sad. All the keepers at the zoo said he was fretting. For 3 months, I managed to restrain my wife from visiting Mysore. Then she said one day, I must see Baba. Either you take me by car or I will go myself by bus or train. So I took her by car. So now it has been lots of time. So after 3 months, finally that his wife want to see the Bruno, the Baba, so that she forced a rider, and rider put her by his car. Friends had conjectured that the bear would not recognize her. I had thought so too, but while she was yet some yards from his cage, Baba saw her and recognized her. He howled with happiness. She ran up to him, petted him through the bars, and he stood on his head in delight. So when she was going, some of the friends told her that he will not recognize you because there is a lots of time has gone. But when she just putted his leg nearby the cage, the Bruno, the Baba, get very happy and he recognized her. For the next 3 hours, she would not leave that cage. She gave him tea, lemonade, cakes, ice cream and what not. Then closing time came and we had to leave. My wife cried bitterly, Baba cried bitterly. Even the hardened curator and the keepers felt depressed. So now it is the time to leave. And by that time the writer were crying, that his wife were crying, and Bruno, the Baba, was also crying so much, and just watching their bond, watching their love, the all other curators also felt depressed. As for me, I had reconciled myself to what I knew was going to happen next. Oh please, sir, she asked the curator, may I have my Baba back? Hesitantly, he answered, Madam, he belongs to the zoo and is government property now. I cannot give away government property, but if my boss, the superintendent at Bangalore, agrees, certainly you may have him back. So now his wife is again asking the curator to get that Baba to her home. So that curator said her that no, we cannot give the permission to take him, but we can do one thing. You ask, it is now the Baba is now government property, so that you have to ask the superintendent, and if he agrees, then you can take the Baba. There followed a return journey to Bangalore and a visit to the superintendent's bungalow. A tearful pleading, Baba and I are both fretting for each other. Will you please give him back to me? He was a kind-hearted man and consented. Not only that, but he wrote to the curator telling him to lend us a cage for transporting the bear to Bangalore. So they went to that superintendent, and that superintendent was felt very pity, very sad, and he was a very kind-hearted, and that is why he gave the permission. And not only the permission, he also asked the curator to do the transportation facility to take that bear. Back we went to Mysore again, armed with the superintendent's letter. Baba was driven into a small cage and hoisted on the top of the car. The cage was tied securely, and a slow and careful return journey to Bangalore was accomplished. Once home, a squad of coolies were engaged for special work in our compound. An island was made for Baba. It was 20 feet long and 15 feet wide and was surrounded by a dry pit or moat 6 feet wide and 7 feet deep. A wooden box that once housed fowls was brought and put on the island for Baba to sleep in at night. Straw was placed inside to keep him warm and his baby. The garnelled stump, along with his gun, the piece of a bamboo, both of which had been sentimentally preserved since he had been sent away to the zoo, were put back for him to play with. So now Baba has come back to his house. So beside the writer's house, they made one small island. In that, the only Baba can live, and all the playful things which was kept very preserved for him, it gave back to him to play. In a few days, the coolies hoisted the cage onto the island and Baba was released. He was delighted. Standing on his hind legs, he pointed his gun and cradled his baby. My wife spent hours sitting on a chair there while he sat on her lap. He was 15 months old and pretty heavy too. Now he is a 15-month-old baby, but like that he is too heavy also. The way my wife reaches the island and leaves it is interesting. I had tied a rope to the overhanging branch of a mango tree with a loop at its end. Putting one foot in the loop, she kicks off with the other to bridge the 6-foot gap that constitutes the width of the surrounding pit. The return journey is made the same way. But who can say now that a sloth bear has no sense of affection, no memory and no individual characteristics? So now to do or to go there to that small island, what they did, they just put they tied one rope. It was hanging on the branch of a tree, and in that there was a loop which aims to the Iceland. So what the writer wife needs to do, she just need to hold on that rope and kick off to the other, and then only she will went from one to another place, and like this she do the journey to reach out to the baby bear, the Baba. So this was about true and pure love, care about the one animal and one human being. So we have lots of people or lots of animals with whom we get very attached. I know, I hope you also have one of the very caring animal in your life. So you should do the very kind heartedly to them. I hope you understand this. Read this lesson at your home. Thank you.